How did the suburbs get so paranoid? This is neighborhood of fear. Ever wonder why your neighbor's got a ring camera aimed right at your driveway? Or why scrolling through Nextdoor feels like you're reading a true crime blog written by people with way too much time? That's suburbia today in a lot of places. You got manufactured lawns, you got good schools, and permanent paranoia going on. Now, here's the twist it is nothing new. Today's suburban fear factory, you got cameras, alarms, stranger danger posts. It's all copy pasted from the 1980s playbook. And that's what Kyle Riismandel wrote about in his book, The Neighborhood of Fear, The Suburban Crisis in American Culture. It's this wild and it's pretty good history about how America's favorite dream, the suburbs, turned into a fortress mentality. And once you see it, you can't really easily unsee it. Now, if you want to set the stage here, you got the dream versus the panic. If you think about it, post World War II America, suburbs were the great escape for a lot of folks. You got clean cul-de-sacs, two-car garages, even a pool if you're lucky. And the sales pitch was simple: safe, sunny, no urban chaos. But by the 1970s, that dream was starting to crack. Crime in cities was peaking, the economy was shaky, and suddenly suburbanites started to freak out. Burglars were lurking in the bushes. Toxic waste was leaking into basements like Love Canal. Kids were getting snatched. In this case, the Adam Walsh case in 1981, kids were getting snatched by mysterious vans. They had the Adam Walsh case in 1981, and suddenly every parent thought the mall parking lot was a crime scene. If you add in TV with horror movies and Dungeons and Dragons and Ozzy Osbourne biting bats' heads off, basically the suburbs got convinced that Satan had moved in next door. So imagine thinking your cul-de-sac is haunted by mall rats and toxic sludge and heavy metal demons. That's kind of the vibe. So fear became a superpower in the suburbs. Now, here's the genius part of Riismandel's book. He shows how suburbanites didn't sit around panicking, they weaponized that fear. He calls it productive victimization. Take NIMBY battles in your neighborhood. This is not my backyard. You get environmental scares like chemical dumps, and instead of banding together for broader reform, people went hyper local. They just fought tooth and nail to protect their own patch of grass, even if it meant pushing the environmental problem into somebody else's neighborhood. That's the birth of the age of NIMBY. Then came security culture, home alarms, neighborhood patrols, gated communities. If you grew up in the 80s or the 90s, you probably remember the ads. Creepy intruders were like silhouetted in your living room. Only ADT could save you. Suburbia wasn't just building homes, they were building fortresses with gates. And for kids, forget about it. Mall rats and punks and skaters, public spaces got regulated like prisons. Even music and games weren't safe. Parents got freaked out by explicit lyrics, Dungeons and Dragons, and satanic cartoons. The home was reclaimed as the ultimate bunker. And then you have power and politics coming in. This is the kicker. All of that fear didn't stay in the cul-de-sac. It rewired politics. Suburban fear became the rocket fuel for tough on crime policies. You got Reagan era conservatism and the new right. White suburbanites consolidated power by locking down their own communities and distancing themselves from cities, especially communities of color. Riismandel nails it. Fear wasn't just paranoia, it was power, and it shaped everything from zoning laws to presidential elections today. And it still matters. Now, if you fast forward to what's happening now, crime rates are a lot lower than the 1980s, but the vibe is still the same. If you remember the ring ads from 2015 with a hooded guy creeping out on a porch, it was straight out of a 1989 ADT commercial. Nextdoor is basically a digital neighborhood watch, where your aunt is going to spend 3 hours posting about suspicious teenagers who just turn out to be like a pizza delivery guy. And it's not funny. These fear cycles have consequences. Stand your ground laws get people killed. You got Trayvon Martin and Ahmaud Arbery, communities where paranoia justifies violence. Cities cut crime while suburbs surveil and isolate themselves. So Riismandel in his book shows us what all of this stuff looks like. Suburban drama, complaining about teens at the mall, or banning new housing projects. It's all part of a decades-long story. A story where fear builds walls, and those walls divide America. So now here's the thing. Neighborhood of Fear isn't just history. It's like a decoder ring for America's suburban soul. Why your neighbor freaks out over package thieves. Why we build gated communities even when crime is falling. Why Not My Backyard is the most powerful slogan nobody admits to ever using, even in New York City. And Riismandel makes it a pretty good page turner. It's smart and it's honest and it's a good true crime novel. So if you ever wanted to understand why suburbia looks the way it does today or why your HOA acts like it's guarding Fort Knox, this book is a gem. Because once you spot it, you start seeing the whole neighborhood differently.